There's a version of masculinity that wins in public and it collapses in private. So here's what I find: some men, they can build businesses. A lot of guys, a lot of clients do that. Some men can build teams. Got a lot of guys that maybe you're building great teams. Some men can dominate the room. A lot of guys I meet, man, they are just awesome meeting people, but very few can build themselves. And when divorce hits, performance does not protect you. Status doesn't protect you. Proximity doesn't protect you. It absolutely exposes you. And so today's guest, Nawfal, works with men in uniform, veterans, service guys, high discipline men, high output men, men trained to perform under pressure, which is rad, which is exactly where I think a lot of you guys listening are. And those of you on the outskirts, listen closely, because there's going to be some things in here that I believe in his story that are going to nudge you. I don't think we all have the answers, but I do think as you listen, you'll get something in here. He's mentoring high-level sales killers. He understands intensity, business owner, but he's also recently walked through divorce. And so I want to pick apart that, and that's where this conversation lives today. It's not in hype. It's not in grind culture, but in the harder question. What happens when a strong man realizes he built success but didn't build the integration? And if you're a divorced dad rebuilding identity, business, fatherhood, listen up. This is absolutely for you. As you know, in the notes, there's going to be some questions that drop during the week that you need to dig into and get into. So there's no hype in this. I want to go straight to it in the fall. What did divorce expose about you that maybe success hid?
Well, first, I'm going to say thank you for having me on. And I've never actually been able to share this story. So you'll be the first to kind of hear it.
Bro, let's
Yeah,
blow it up.
let's blow it up.
Yeah.
So success for me actually started after I realized that this wasn't the end be all. Everyone is going through the mourning phases like we do, like when we mourn somebody in our families or loss, and we have those acceptance, the grieving period, and I went through all of that. But then I had to understand the last phase and really cycling out and making sure, okay, this is just a small chapter in my life. What am I going to take from it? You know, I wasn't the only one at fault, and I had to accept that I needed to make changes for myself in order to make do for what was done, be a better partner for the next person, be a better provider for my family, be a better father for my daughter, and be the best version of myself so I'm not scheming and telling people the same things to do and not doing it myself. So I had that recollection moment.
Yeah.
And once
So what was the exposure? Like, where did you look and be like, okay, what do I need to do next?
So I sat down in my bed and, I just looked up and I'm wearing my hat that says Make America Pray Again. And I lost a lot of faith in my law enforcement time. And it seems like it's kind of a trend almost for guys who are in service who they lose their faith. But the guys who grab their faith again, they really, really revitalize themselves and rebrand themselves. So I needed a rebrand. I hated my old self, and Andy Elliott, my mentor, says it all the time. You got to kill your old self. I know we're not to say it, but you got to just diminish that old person that you don't want to be. Once you actually do it instead of saying it and really rid of it and start doing those practices such as gratitude jar in the morning and then reading the gratitude jar on Sundays, even if it's the same things, what are you actually grateful for? Why are you here? Purpose. I built purpose over wealth, and the wealth comes with the purpose, and that's what I did.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. So
Sure.
your discipline, like you get ownership, you're in that lane. How did you and who held you accountable to it, man?
Well, the first person that held me accountable, I mean, other than myself, was Andy Elliott. 2022, I sat in Atlanta airport and I met Andy, and he came up to me after I just waved him down. He was on the phone. He said, "Give me a minute." I had a 30-minute conversation with him, and at the end of it, he told me three things. He said, "Get in shape because I look like shit." He told me to have the best month I had, and he said, "When you're ready, do not call me until you're ready." You fast forward to 2024, so 2 years later, I ding Andy, not on his cell phone, because I thought it was probably disconnected or not real. I never even tried. On Instagram, sure enough, he responded, sent him a picture of us, and my biggest paycheck that I had received at the time, which was $65,000 for the month. And I was pumped. Sure enough, it says read, and I get an immediate response saying, "I remember you." And he told me two things: send me the screenshot and show me your abs.
No way.
Guy's a maniac.
No
Guy's a
way.
maniac. But I love it because I needed somebody outside of my circle to really look at me, pick me apart, and tell me what's wrong with me. And I think that's just what I needed.
What did that feel like when someone's picking you? I mean, bro, because you're already at high level, and if you want to mention a few of those things of what you had been doing, and even some of the stuff on the wall behind you, because I think guys need to understand too that you could be crushing it in one world, in one avenue, but then there's these other avenues where you're cutting corners, and it wasn't there. So that exposure to you, what did that feel like, dude?
So I'll start by saying when I left law enforcement, I like doubled my salary immediately, and most people would, especially in the law enforcement military community. Civil service doesn't pay; it pays after you retire. And sadly, the average age of life for a retiree in fire is 4 years. The average is 5 to 7 for law enforcement, and for military, it's 8 to 9. So you don't really even get to enjoy the wealth. So I told myself I don't want to die 5 years after I just worked 25 years for somebody else. I want to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was dial in my health. I looked at my body. I said, okay, I'm not happy with this. What's next? So, I'm best friends with Tomo. He owns Aspire Rejuvenation Clinic. I really deep dove into my hormones and into the peptides and recovery. And sleep is like probably the most important thing that I've dealt with. I have some PTS, which is post-traumatic syndrome. I don't like calling it PTSD because I've not been clinically diagnosed. So I dealt with my PTS, and I still deal with it, and most people will still deal with it for the rest of their lives. And once I took care of my mental health and my body, I was like, okay, what's next? My financial wealth, right? Because the financial wealth is going to be what. So I didn't really have financial literacy. Most police departments and fire departments and military, they're not going to really teach you the stuff that's really important. So, again, I was pinpointed by some other people to go and do some research. And I sat down with investors. I sat down with people. Okay, I have this amount of cash. What can I do with it to start growing? So by the time I'm 59 and a half, I can pull it and be good, or use it to expend my expenditures now. So coaching, self development, and honestly, most of my money went towards self development.
Yeah.
Um,
And what was
so
that like, dude? Because like because when guys hear that, there's like so many red flags that they have about it, and because they normally attack it like you first said, they'll say, "Hey, I got some money. How do I put it in a 401k?" And da 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 da. Whereas I think somewhere in your head there, something must have opened up to where you said, "I need to actually use this for me." What was that like for you?
Well, I was just tired of being broke. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. I mean, at some point, you got to be like, I am tired of having to live paycheck to paycheck. Like, I'm so blessed. I don't have to look at my card every time I go to dinner.
Amen.
I can pay all my bills, and yeah, thank God. I mean, but it comes with hard work and it comes with discipline. Like, you're not going to be able to enjoy all the fruits of your labor all the time. Sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, okay, I do this month. I'll do this next week. You got to choose what's important so you can enjoy everything else later. And
Yeah.
I did that for 4 years. So I'm just now in a place in 2025, coming into 2026, where I'm very successful. I have the cash flow and I'm able to invest into companies and put myself in positions, like you said, the stuff on behind my wall. I left and went into sales. 97% of the world is sales. Like, people
Yeah.
don't realize that everybody's a salesman. You're a salesman. I'm a salesman. Doctors are salesmen. HVAC guys. I mean, everyone who's listening, you are doing something to get reoccurring revenue. It is considered, it's 100% sales. And Andy really drove that into my brain because people walk around with this 1950s mentality of a door-to-door salesman who they hate and they don't want to listen to pitch them.
Yeah.
That's the world revolves on consumers, and the US being the highest consumer rate, you need to ingrain yourself on some form of product or service in order to be successful. You can't just maintain a 9 to 5 and be okay when you're 60. It's just not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So I told myself, I said, okay, I'm going to start in sales, make a high 6-figure salary, which I still do. I still
Yep.
work for somebody, but I have an equity stake, which is a different story, which is a different path. But I didn't just get it because of luck. I did it because of hard work. And then I also work with the federal government as their director of partnerships. And then I also do consulting for a ton of companies and coach. So the average millionaire has 4 to 7 streams of income. And that's exactly what you need to do, especially with the cost of living, the high inflation, and really just the way the trend of the COLA is what we call the cost of living increase for the
Mhm.
next 5 to 15 years.
Yeah. Well, you also have, kids on the line. You have the next generation in there as well. So for you, you somehow you saw this door of sales to be an avenue for you. Like let's walk this down, as you had as if it was you again. And because I have so many convos in this world, Nafal, about guys that are, I don't know what to do. I'm not making enough money. Do I go, drive Lyft or, and a lot of these guys have been former, making a couple hundred grand a year. And I was in that same boat too, where my confidence was shattered. I felt like garbage. Uh, Job was stripped, and you're in this blender, I call it a lot of times, of what that feels like. And so what sort of doors did you see available to yourself then?
The first thing I did was actually just reach out to everyone that I left on good terms with in my police department. I just used my circle. And we say it all the time, it's cliche, but your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
So I really started pinging the people that I left good impressions on. And I always tell people this: if you ever walk into a room, people will smell you.
Mhm.
And they say, what does that mean? Well, that means people are going to know the reason why you're there. And when I go into a room, I go in there with a giving hand, not the receiving hand. Because I know if I give the services of either just being a good person or giving advice or whatever service I can offer to whoever it could be someone in the federal government or just someone like you and I, they know I'm being purposeful and I don't expect anything in return. And the good big man upstairs always returns that later in life, and there's no expectation of that, but it always works out. And I always tell people you have to have that purpose when you go into a room or to a social event or even into your family, friends, and your kids. Just be purposeful in every moment, and those things really do change. And once you actually start paying attention to not this as much as the people surrounding you,
Yeah.
people talking to you, the things really do change. It opens up. I really do wish these didn't exist. They make money, but I really do wish they didn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. I see you pulled up the phone a couple times. I agree. It's it's crazy what's on there. It's crazy what's available on there. I want to go back into the conversations that you started to have with your network because I also have the same thing that when I talk to guys about what I call this low hanging fruit. It is people that know you already. They trust you. They like you. There's something there already forged. When somebody's going to do that, and maybe they don't have, the emotional, the intelligence IQ or emotional intelligence that you have on that. What are ways that you start to maybe coach them into starting those conversations?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, and that's something that I tell my clients all the time. Don't start by reaching out to X person immediately about your need. Reach out to them, just check on them. Build that
Yeah.
relationship with them. Maybe you start off from where you left, rebuild it. If it takes a month, it takes a month. But then when you feel comfortable enough where you feel like there's that bond again, then you ask them for that hand, that lending hand. Because if you do it immediately, they're just going to think you're using them.
Sure.
And
And what
most
is
people,
what does the lending hand sound like? What's a
sure,
phrase you like to use?
I usually do this. I'm like, listen, hey brother, I'll just use you for example. Hey
Sure.
Anthony, we've been catching up this last couple months. I just want to really see where me and you can connect. So you put it into that person's hands. So now that person's involved with you. You're not just asking it for something. It kind of feels like they're getting ingrained. What can we do together to help me do this? So now you're not just telling somebody, hey, can you please help me with this? And you're not going to get anything in return because some people are going to want some form of ROI for their contacts, some form of ROI for maybe if it's money, or some form of ROI for just pushing you somewhere. Some people are not, but you just got to read the room at that point. But most people, I would say 80% of people are be like, okay, this guy just came back into my life. He's asking me for help at this point. I'm okay, we're good. But what is he going to give me?
Sure. Sure. So would that same rule apply as guys looking for jobs?
I would say yes. I mean, and I talk to recruiters all the time, especially the recruiters that get paid on commission. They want to be, they want it to be as agnostic as possible. So if you do it for them, they want it for them. They just want the referrals, right?
Yep.
So if someone gets you that job and they're doing it for you, I mean, if that person has a job, hey man, just refer me some people so I can get some business. Like
Mhm.
just say something or make that person feel like you're actually going to, or don't just say it. I'm sorry, let me back up. Actually do it. Because if that person's putting their name out for you, which is most of the time for men, their name is everything and their word is everything,
Yeah.
make sure you live up on that word and send them the business. Even if they don't get it, it's up to them to close it, but send that person their way, either being mechanics or whatever that person's industry is.
Yeah. So it sounds like here too, Nafal, that in this journey, there's this There's this personal development journey. There's this mindset stuff that's going on for you. And at the same time there, you're also starting to engage your network to start to say, "Hey, what doors are available?" So, because if guys are in this state where they're desperate, they're in need, or they don't have this confidence, it comes through kind of like what you said. It's a smell, right? It's a smell of intention of what they're trying to do. So maybe we back up for a second and break down some of those things that you notice before, because guys want the money. They need the money, or they're trying to make it for their kids and mortgage and all these different kinds. They're trying to recoup what's been, halved in a lot of relationships. And so what's some of these, state things, grounding things, personal development? I know you said working out was one of those. What were some of those that you started to see that when that started to grow, then this other level started to be more attractive and more engaging for others?
So that's a great question. And to repeat the question, I think the biggest thing for personal development is like, what's more important to you? Are you going to be more mind focused? Are you going to be more body focused? Are you going to be more health centric? And for me, it was kind of everything in line. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting perfection at each level to make sure that I am the best version of myself and not just a master of one trade, but a master of all. So, like I said earlier, I think the biggest thing people should start. Health is always important, but the most important thing that derives the health is your brain and how you interact with people and how you interact with yourself. And when I say how I interact with yourself, stop being jumpy, listen, articulate the person's conversation, ask questions, be a sponge. Those are the things that are going to build that chemistry in your brain and really the intelligence to go ahead and do other things, such as the physical and the health aspects. So for me, that was probably the most important. And I really took a deep dive in reading books, listening to podcasts, having hard conversations and conversations like these too. These are not easy conversations because you're being open with people. And most people and most men don't want to have that wall broken because it makes them less of a man. It does not at all. This is what it's not okay to not talk, I think, because that's what drives people down a spiral and they don't even know if they're valued, if they're worth anything, or they're, like you said, self-confidence just completely diminishes.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, long story short, mental health is first, and I think the physical well-being comes after. I think those are the hyper focuses for me personally, and I always tell the men, work on your mind game and like you're playing chess, and then go play checkers.
Yeah, 100% agree. I know that I say sometimes, I I give them what the, there's certain things that guys want, but there's certain things that they actually need. And the want for them is usually exterior. There are things that they need for their life that they think they need, where it's most of the time it's a finance thing, or it's these others. But then they get into this, what they really need is to be able to have a blueprint for their mind every single day. Because I always say, if you can't plan your day, you can't plan your life, because your life is lived in a day. And so
I
if
love
we
that.
unpack your day when you started, making that journey, how difficult was that for you to start really honing into things that you didn't think were important but were important?
Oh, it was tough. It was really tough. It was tough to get into a strict routine where I knew it was going to be where I needed the time in the afternoon to myself to get things done. So I was so busy, I needed to wake up at 5 or 5:30 to go to the gym. And if I didn't do my gym workouts in the morning to get that blood flowing and just really get the day in a good spot, my afternoon was crushed.
Yeah.
It was absolutely crushed. And I to be honest with you, I'm not perfect. I mean, there's days like today, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll give an example. I woke up this morning at 8 and I felt like shit. I was like, I didn't get to go to the gym. Now my day's pushed back. And then now I'm in a rush cramming everything else during the day. And then at the end of the day at 5:36, I got to go to the gym, deal with people that I don't want to deal with, like every machine being taken, like we all have to experience at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And and then come home and cook dinner and go to sleep at 10, which completely messes up my REM sleep for the rest of the night. So it's like that one small break in the morning ruins the whole next day in my recovery.
Yeah, it does. It is methodical, but it's also engineered for what you want and for where you're going. And I think what's really difficult for a lot of guys to do is determine what they want and where they're going. So Nafal, for you, when you're walking through this journey, you've got this moment with Andy Elliott. What was what were some things that you had to do to get super clear and specific about what you wanted?
The first thing I did was I literally went to a program called UCF Restores. So it really hyper focuses on first responders, military, and its mental health awareness, and a program for PTS and PTSD. And I just really needed to clear my mind. I really struggled with survivor's guilt, and I still do. One of my best friends died in 2017 in my police department, and I had always had this nightmares and the shakes at night, and just like from seeing the scene and stuff like that. And then plus all the other stuff I saw in my law enforcement career, dead babies, and all the other stuff that people would see that a typical person wouldn't see. I mean, just all the trauma that I swallowed and didn't talk to people. I needed to start talking to somebody. And honestly, I still talk to somebody. That being my lady, or that being my brother, or that being somebody um, like my therapist. His name is Anthony as well. Just talking to him, it really does help me feel better because I'm not being judged. And a lot of people just don't want the judgment when it comes to the things that they're feeling because they think it's wrong.
Mm,
And statistically, our brains every 7 year chemistry changes. So how I felt about the situation when it happened is not how I feel about it now. I feel more guilt now than ever being an adult and being a father, because at the time I wasn't, and he was. He had 3 girls that he left behind,
mm.
and I feel it more now because I get to see my daughter and he doesn't. So it really does mess with me a little bit, but I don't let it stop me from knowing that I have responsibilities, a great life to live, and great things that I've built and that are more important. And while a lot of people freeze and stop, they like get stuck in this void. And what we call in law enforcement and military guys that are listening is like the OODA loop. They call it the loop. And you get stuck in this rotation of waking up sorrow, going to sleep sorrow, and not really being present, and just living in this fog.
Yeah.
And they have this fog in their brain. And once you know that there's something else beside outside of that fog, it's very beautiful, because I used to be so angry. I used to punch walls. I used to do like that was my sporadic movements that I would do like when I got angry. And honestly, like, I put a gun to my head before. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say it. I mean,
Yeah.
I have. And a lot of people don't want to say it, but they probably have too. And
Yeah.
they just thought that it's better that they're not here versus them being here because they think they're a problem. And this is why I preach the mental health more than the physical health, because I went through it specifically. And most people will say that if this isn't good, this isn't going to work well. So
Yeah.
for me, that routine is everything to me now. And tomorrow, like, I was an asshole this morning to myself, but tomorrow morning I'm gonna get back to it.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. I'll tell you. You look
Thank
great
you.
there. You look great. I want
Thank
to
you. You as
jump. I,
well.
I want to jump into this environment, because when you were talking about all those things, you, especially when guys are in that world that you're in, and it doesn't matter whether it's construction, if it's service. There's this environment of who you're around, and I want to maybe unpack for you what it was like when you got out of that environment and into an environment where it was, there was more agency, there was just high level thinking, more accountability. When did that happen? And what was that like for you?
Oh man, that's actually like a breath of fresh air. So most people don't realize that people think we're psychos. Like, I was literally wearing a t-shirt that said "psycho sales killer" earlier, and my girl was like, "Are you gonna wear that to the podcast?" I was like, "No, let me not be crazy because I am crazy." But when you actually put yourself in a room where everyone actually talks like you, thinks
Yeah.
like you, and like has the same ideas, you're like, "Holy crap, I'm
Yeah.
not crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is normal." And that's the same feeling I got with Andy's, and then I moved into Patrick Bet David's circle,
Yeah.
and I moved into other circles around the country and the world too. Like, I'm part of Andrew Tate's The War Room, so that's 1,100 guys throughout the world that are part of his small little group.
Wow.
And I was just in Czech Republic meeting with him and his team, and it was these are the rooms that you just like. Even if it's not just Andrew Tate and Tristan, like the guys in there and all these, like, it's about the connections. You never know. And Patrick and Andy says that you're one event, one handshake away from changing your life.
Hmm.
I did that. I'm living proof of it. This didn't just come from luck. I put my work into it, but these events really do change your perspective. And it's almost like a freaking cocaine addiction, because every time you want to go to one, you want to keep going to get that feeling, get that reaffirming feeling of, dang, this is where I need to be. It's like a rebirth every time I go to Andy's, and to go to the den is what we call it, the lion's den.
Yeah, yeah. And it's when I'm hearing that as well, because when you're doing it on your own, this mentality thing, you hear these, when you first look at the other side of the room, like these types of groups, you're like, oh man, those, or those guys are crazy, or they're whatever you might say about them. But the reality is, the fall that you had that, like you said, you had that in you. Somewhere in there, it started to get covered up. Did you notice that it was getting covered up? And how did you react to that? How did you like get that awakening that was going on?
I love that question. So I grew up in a Arab family, so that was already pushed down because I went into service instead of becoming a doctor or becoming any high value man or woman that they
Yeah,
think that's what makes you high value. Well, that's not the truth,
yeah.
because my dad did silver service. He just didn't want me to go into it, and it was suppressed from the time I was 18 to, I would say, 27, 28 years old.
Mhm.
So I had that completely suppressed into me. I always had these ideas. Even at the police department, I'd always go to my captains and lieutenants and be like, "Hey, we should do this, we should do that," and they just looked at me like I was nuts.
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying? We're not doing that. That's not normal. I'm like, that's the point. We're not supposed to be normal. We're supposed to live within our means and be creative, to engage our community and to engage people, and just didn't like it. And I was tired of the shitty pay and being put into the corner saying, you're not good enough. And at some point, I was just like, I have a daughter coming.
Mhm.
I need to do what's best for me. And I need to start using this thing instead of just using these and whatever else you want to call it. So I took that leap of faith. That was in 2022, and got out full time, but I stayed on part time till last year. So last year was my last year as a law enforcement officer. And I was just like, I need to use my brain for something good. And going into sales, and what I did was very niche.
Yeah.
A lot of people leave sales and they go into something they don't like at all and they hate it. And that's why they're not successful. I went into something so niche that people don't even know it exists. I went into law enforcement uniform sales. And they're
Wow.
like, "What? What is that?" I'm like, "Well, you gotta buy uniforms, you gotta buy guns, you gotta buy duty gear." So I became the Southeast director for a company called Galls,
How did
and it
you
was
even
like
find that?
LinkedIn.
Okay, so this is good because the guys are looking for opportunities, right? So you're looking for
Yeah.
opportunities. You're trying to figure out something that maybe you like, that, obviously sales, you were seeing that there's a higher ceiling in sales. So you just started hitting doors. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so I literally went on LinkedIn, I went on Indeed, and I applied to maybe like 500 jobs, and everything and first, let me take a step back. I started applying to like emergency management positions, but I said, okay, what are my skills going to translate to?
Yeah.
But then I realized, okay, I'm not like $80,000 from leaving 80. This is just I'm just a linear transition. I might as well stay.
Yeah.
But then I saw this company, Galls, which was already a vendor of ours at my police department, and most police departments in the country use them
Yeah.
and as a distributor. And I was like, this is interesting. I get to stay in the same circle. I already know everybody, and my salary is 120 grand. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I was walking into. So I got the call. I interviewed. They kind of gave me basically saying that you're going to be managing contracts for all the police departments in Florida and all this stuff. So I said, you know what? I'll risk it. They gave me the job. I put my 2 weeks in. I flew out to Lexington, Kentucky, and I was just baffled on what I walked into. It was like the craziest thing.
Wow.
Yeah, like literally.
So then from there, where did you get this idea that how you can make this into sales? Where did that come from?
So I went from just being a regular sales rep and really learning how to take no's and turning them into yeses, and honestly using my network. So that's really started. It started there. And then I became the director for the Southeast. And then I got called 2 years ago to become one of the well, I wouldn't say a full owner, but have equity partnership in a company called Blower. So we manufacture the police uniforms, and we're based out of Boston. I covered DC, Maryland, Virginia, federal, military, international contracts and distribution. And then as soon as I moved up to DC, which is where I was born actually, the floodgates like absolutely opened, because I know I could work a room at that point. I kind of got the
Mm.
confidence, and I was like, okay, I got to hit these unions. I got to hit these little small, whatever it was. Everything that was in DC, I hit it. I introduced myself. I said, what can Blauer do for you? What can Blauer do for you? What can Blauer do for you? And that landed me my job at the feds as a director of partnership, because the president of the union, which is the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, literally said, dude, how do you know everyone in the country? You're young as fuck. He said, like, even our guys don't know the people that you know. So, like, what are we going to do with you? And I was like, whatever you want. He's like, well, you're hired. You're appointed. Done. He's like, done. Literally, and I was on a vacation with him and another guy, and at his house, we were doing a bonfire, and he looked at me. He's like, we're having an event at Mar-a-Lago next year, and we want you to host, and just you take care of it.
Yeah.
Let's see what you could do. So I helped them run the event at Mar-a-Lago last year, and I worked a room there, and then I'm genuine, dude. That's if I could
Yeah.
say anything to anybody here, just be fucking genuine. Just be
Yeah.
nice and be genuine. You
Yeah.
can't fake genuine. People are gonna know you're fake.
Yeah.
There's
Um,
schleamy, skeezy people out here, and you're gonna know when you shake their hand and how they look at you and how they talk. And I tell people all the time, you're gonna feel it immediately if that
yeah.
person wants to have a conversation with you or not.
Yeah.
Just by the way they position their body, how they shake their hand. If they're shaking their hand and looking this way and talking to the person and trying to walk away, you just know that that
Mm.
person either gives a shit or doesn't give a shit. And I made it my life plan to make sure everyone knows I'm genuine and I give a shit, and that has translated to everything else.
That's good, dude. Let's jump in. Let's dance in this floor for a second because you do have a child, a son, right?
Daughter.
A daughter. Sorry, you have a daughter. You divorced now. What was that like for you? Because this is one of the biggest mental hurdles that most dads face there about what that's like for them. Maybe not seeing them as much, or maybe a two, you know, two home household that you didn't plan
Yep.
for. When that war happened for you, what was that like, and what did you start to do to plan accordingly for that?
Well, I'll tell you, it happened to me twice. Not a divorce, but a separation to start, and then
Mhm.
then a divorce. So my daughter was, I think, 6 months when I came home. I was at the FBI office in Jacksonville and driving down. I get a call from my ex-wife, and she's like, "Hey, I want either you agree to therapy over the phone, or I'm packing our shit and we're leaving." And I was like, "We can wait till I get home." I was being naive. I was being a dick. And she was like, "You either agree to it over the phone, or I'm telling you right now, and I'm packing the bags and
Mm,
leaving."
mm,
I got home. Guess what? Daughter was gone. All her clothes were gone. She was six
mm,
months. Crib was gone. Her family literally brought the minivan, and she went and she moved to her sister's house.
mm,
And I freaked the fuck out.
mm.
I went crazy. I mean, straight up, like, I went crazy. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. I broke a fucking door in the house. I mean, I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what to feel or how to feel, because my whole life I said I'm gonna bust my ass, bust my ass, bust my ass. And unfortunately, I made all that money, and I became my father. My father
Mm.
was just a provider and not a protector, and I failed my family. And people need to realize you have to take some fault somewhere, right? So when I talk to
Yeah.
guys, I'm like, they go through these situations when either their life is taken away from them or their kids, or a divorce happens. Accountability is everything. You're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. The other person's probably had some fault into it or not. But if you had some play into it, you need to look at yourself and be like, oh shit, I fucked up. Okay. So we went through therapy. She came back October of what was this, 24? Yeah, October of 24. No, October of 23. She came back, and we did Thanksgiving together, and then we were together for maybe like another 5 to 6 months. We went on a trip to Italy, came back. Literally out of nowhere, she says, "I want a divorce."
Mm.
And I told her why. She's like, "We can't talk to each other. We don't understand each other anymore, and I just can't do it anymore." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "That's fine."
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it the whole time that we weren't okay.
Yeah. So for you mentally, then, with that moment when, especially for guys that are leaders like yourself, you don't plan for, and that's not why you get married. That's not why you have kids.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
had that mental torment that was going on there. What did you have to get accountable to for yourself mentally to be able to say, okay, this is what we have to do next?
Yeah, so after she told me that, and I literally packed my bags the same night, and I said, "You can have the house for 1 year, and I'm leaving my parents." So I bite the bullet, And I was traveling back and forth from DC every week anyway because I live up here. At that point, I was back and forth.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I'm home, I'll stay at my parents. I'll grab my kid. Right. Well, she was too young for overnight still. She was still being breastfed, and I had to really swallow not sleeping next to my daughter anymore, and that really fucked with me. But I knew every time I was with her to be very intentional with my time and give her 100% of the attention, so she knows, especially at that age, that daddy's around. And thank God I did it because now she's like utterly obsessed with me, and I love it. And she knows just now that she's 3, that daddy's house, mommy's house, we're not together. I think she kind of understands at this point a little bit. Daddy had mommy. I go to my room and daddy's room and daddy's home. And like all those little things, it does rip a little bit because when they're older, you have to explain because they're gonna have questions. But never in my life did I ever think like I always thought I was gonna have the 35, 40-year marriage that my parents had.
Yeah.
But then I unfortunately built the same marriage that my parents had, which was yelling at each other, being only at work and not being there for your kids, and I because that's what you see. And I always told
Yeah.
myself I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to do that. But then when you get stuck into it, you don't even realize you're doing it on purpose. It's just happening
Yeah.
because it's like nature redoing itself. So I was like they say, you got to kill your old self, and I really did have to kill my old self. I said that's not who I want to be as a father, and that's not who I want to be as a parent. And I want to make sure my daughter knows when I'm home every other weekend and I have her, that daddy's here. Like
Mm.
he's here. He's not unpresent. He does whatever he wants for me. He cares about my emotions and my feelings and everything that a 3-year-old needs the attention. Because now that they're articulating their words and talking to you and having conversations, have feelings, and saying no to you all the time, um, it's it was humbling. I will say that it
Yeah.
was definitely humbling. It changed.
Yeah.
It really did change the way of fatherhood for me because I just thought maybe just being a provider was enough for my ex-wife, but no, it's not. You can't just be a provider. You got to be there.
Yeah. So when you mentioned a few things with your dad, and you know, we all have. I think we all have these moments, but I think right now is this just kind of nudged me here in this for you. What did maybe your dad didn't do for you that you realize that now you need to do for your daughter?
Yeah. Well, it's a little different because I'm a boy, but like I saw my dad do it with my sister, like just be there and give her everything that she wants. But the give and do everything she wants isn't enough. Like I think my if I wish my dad would have just sat me down as a man and told me, hey, this is the shit that's gonna happen as a
Mm.
boy. This is the stuff that you're gonna deal with. I never got that hard conversations that you see like people and celebrities have on these movies and stuff like that. I sometimes will watch a movie and let's just say like the show Yellowstone where Rip is like
Yeah.
and like that's his son basically, right?
Yeah.
That bond. I wish my dad's still alive, and I actually have a really good relationship with my father now as an adult than I did as a teenager, and really as a young kid. I wish I had that bond with my dad. I wish he came up to me and told me that this situation was gonna happen. I wish he gave me the hard stuff younger, so I wouldn't have to go through it now. But I am happy that I went through this stuff now. I just wish that I was more prepared for life
Yeah.
and
But do
emotion,
you
like the
feel
emotional
like
side.
that now that you're aware to it, then you can give those conversations with your daughter?
Absolutely. I feel so comfortable having them because I can have them with others and I can have them with, like, even I have a younger brother who's 25 and I talk to him I almost baby him like I'm his father. He
Yeah.
hates it a little bit, but he respects me a lot for it too because he comes and he asks me for advice all the time and I see him coming to me more than he's going to my dad.
Yeah. That's good, dude. You had some. We said something earlier that we talked about, and you and I have sort of jumped in this lane. I think it's helpful for dads to get a get a different perspective on these two things, and one is therapy, and one is coaching. And you've mentioned both, and especially being in the line of work that you're in. And I love to hear your thought on the difference for you on both of those, and the effects on of both of those for you.
So I didn't discover coaching until after therapy. So therapy for me was to really heal the trauma for me. And that trauma was honestly absentee parents, a not loving mother. I mean, I love my mother to death, but she just doesn't have that. And some moms do have this characteristic. They're just not loving. They're not giving. They're not
Mm.
warm. And I wanted that mom love, and I really was absent for a lot of my life. I was raised by a nanny. for most of my life.
Yeah.
So my mother love came from nanny. So that fucked me up, to be honest with you, because I have other siblings, and I used to say this a lot when I was growing up to my mom, which she hates it. She's like, "Oh, you love my other siblings more than I do," and I meant that when I said it to her, and she didn't really realize that. So really, the biggest difference was therapy helped me go through what I went through specifically to make sure I was a better version of myself and how to internalize and express the way I was feeling the right way without
Hmm.
offending anybody or really offending myself or really trying to articulate what I was actually feeling. That's what therapy helped me do. On the other side, coaching helped me become a killer, helped me become very confident. I mean, that's probably what it did the most is be very confident and then handle business like P&L and margins and like all the other stuff that all the fancy schmeezy terms that people don't like to talk about that are important when it comes to running sales or business. That's what really coaching did for me. It really taught me to be a different person and to be a listener and how to counteract people when they're giving you objections or they're talking to you about a certain thing and really looping them back to like you're doing, right? So I may go off on a squirrel and you're like, okay, let's get back to this. That's something that you learn during coaching. That's something that you learn how to internalize and verbalize conversations. And that's for me the biggest thing that coaching has done for me is communication and deliver information. Therapy, work on yourself and heal. So
Yeah.
big two differences there.
Yeah. Because I think from what I get in a lot of the information that comes down, a lot of hundreds and hundreds of dads, and I think the marketing of therapy is so good and it's so readily available that it's easy to go there. It's very cheap in a lot of ways, and so it can be a starting point. And then what
I agree.
happens? What I see a lot of times that happens is guys are in this loop of therapy, doing talking about the stuff and talking about the stuff, and I did the same thing. Like I went through, the therapy side. But then what happens is they're still in the same sort of systems or beliefs or man, my mind, I have anxiety and I'm fearful and I'm worried. And so there comes a point to where um it's not working at what it was supposed to be doing. Therapy is healing and there is a healing part of it, but the acceleration of growth when somebody comes to you and they've said that to you in your circle, we'll throw it your way. They've come to you in
Sure.
your circle. They said, "Hey man, I want to do this. I've been doing therapy, similar line of work." What do you talk to them about? How do you start to talk to them about what you do?
So the first thing I ask them is, what's your focus and what's the
Hmm.
goal? Because I tell them that therapy always addresses the why behavior occurs and examining the past. And then like if you're going to be coaching with me, I'm going to be solely focused on how you can achieve your future goals, working in the present and in the future. And on the goal side, I talk to them that therapy is only going to deal with dysfunction, mental health disorders, emotional healing. But if you're going to be coaching with me or anybody else, what we're specifically talking about skill building, productivity, and your personal brand, or like we say, personal development.
Hmm.
So like people don't understand, you don't have to have a credential, a license, or whatever to be a coach. Like coaching is specifically someone who is deriving themselves, you know, and through life challenges and optimizing their performance and creating action plans. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And once you truly understand the difference, like we're talking about now, that's where you can really decide, okay, which path do I want to take or start with.
Yeah, I agree. The dads that I talk to, they're great dads. They want to be great dads. They want to crush it at home. They want to provide. A lot of the feelings, like you said before, I just got tired of living paycheck to paycheck, or I got, these, and so they have this pressure, and they have these feelings, and then they're doing therapy, but they're not getting the progress and the growth in these areas that they want. So I love to hear Nafal from you. Like, throw us a scenario where, maybe one of your current clients or a guy you've been with recently comes to you, has some of these things, and what was some of the things that you led them through and some of the results? Just so guys can hear that like there's actually a path that is real that brings you into this person that you may see in your heart, but you're not quite there yet. And I think a lot of times it's that they don't have belief in themselves. They don't have the faith that they can do it. And so they think it's for somebody else. They think it's, oh, that's just what they do, or and I'm sure you may have felt the same when you were in that situation. I've felt the same when I watch things. I'm like, oh, well, that's great for them. That's because, Patrick Bet David or these guys, they had some unicorn that happened. So let's let me just take it back to you, Nafal, and someone that you've worked with, some of the feelings they've had, and then what happened with it. Like what was the process for them?
Sure. So this is one I'm dealing with now, and it really stands out. His name is Brian, and I won't say his last name, but he's fantastic. He lives in Chicago. He was a sales killer, like killer in sales. He's in his late 30s, and all of a sudden, his job was taken away from him.
Yeah.
He got injured, couldn't go back to work anymore. They fired him, and they said, "Hey, because you can't come back to work, we're firing you." He didn't have a package or anything, so like literally, he went from making $300,000 a year to making zero,
Yeah.
blowing through almost all of his savings, and out of despair, he was referred to me and reached out to me saying, I need some guidance. I need to know what to do. I got 30,000 in the bank. I'm a man of faith. I got a 12-year-old daughter, and I have a 4-year-old son,
Yeah.
and I got a wife making pretty much almost no money as a teacher. Help me out. So I started coaching Brian. I think it's been almost 2.5 months now. And the first thing I did was the first 4 weeks I do with anybody is just straight personal development.
Yeah.
Understanding your goal, understanding the focus, understanding what needs to be done to get you back. And really for him was all confidence.
Yeah.
He has never had a job interview. He has never had all the jobs he's ever had where, he's a little older. He's had, handshake deals, been referred. He didn't know what LinkedIn was. Like it was a whole thing to really revitalize his confidence, especially in sales. You're not in it, kind of lose your juice a little bit.
Yeah.
And for me, he had to get his juice back. So the first thing I said is, let's do a LinkedIn optimization. Let's get you on social. He had all these ideas about doing like a daddy daughter thing on TikTok. I said, you have no income.
Yeah.
Your family is hurting. I said, linear, and then crawl, walk, run. I say that to everybody. Let's crawl, then we can walk, and then we can go running. Once you get your income and you pay all your debt down, then we can get into that social media topic because now you have to put money into ads, blah, 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 blah. So giving him structure was like everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, dude, and Brian has been amazing because he's also dealing with a lawsuit because he got fired, wrongfully so, due to an injury. And he keeps shifting his focus back and forth to us. So I told him 2 weeks ago, and this is no bullshit. I said, Brian, you lost focus. I said, you've missed 3 calls. I said, wow. I'm not talking to you. And I'm not continuing our coaching until you are done with your lawsuit.
Wow.
Simple. And he took accountability. He's like, you know what? I'm going to shift my focus to that because I think I'm going to win and I think I'm going to do that. And I respect that. A man's going to do what a man's going to do. I'm not going to tell people what's more important. If a lawsuit is more important than his personal development and him getting a job, then that's it. But he called me last week and texted me a crazy text message, which I want to read because I loved it.
Yeah.
And like, seriously, he said, what's up, brother? Quick update. I spoke with my attorney. The complaint's solid, a lot of work. And then I'm in a good place with everything. And one more form in April, and then I'll fill this form out correctly. But because of that, I think it'd be best for us to reconnect. So he's taking accountability, letting me know. I think it's best for us to reconnect and pick up right where we left off. I want to make sure I can give our work my full focus and energy. I appreciate your support, and I'm look forward to getting back rolling. Accountability. I fucking love it. He knew he was in a shit place. He knew what was next steps. And this is what I teach men. You got to do what's important first for you. And literally, you got to take 1 through 10 and say, what's first, what's second, what's third, and literally attack it that way. Because if you're in a frenzy and doing a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and not focusing on one thing at a time, you're going to lose yourself. You're going to probably lose money. And you're going to lose time.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what I've ingrained in Brian. And he's like, just that personal development of himself now in the 4 weeks that I've been coaching him, or this 8 weeks, excuse me, different different person. He's been going to social events in Chicago to meet people like on Meetup, on the app Meetup. I said, dude, go to these sales meetings and just meet with people that you never met with. You never know who hands you're going to shake. So now he's getting his confidence back. He's talking to people about his stuff. So now he's getting to talk and just really putting himself in those crowds again. And then he got a job interview 2 weeks ago with his competitor. So perfect. Yeah. So I have a call with him next week and we'll see what happens. But these are the things that I like to tell people because I'm not here to just give you a fake blueprint. The
Yeah.
blueprint sits in people's heads.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling it out of you and giving you the confidence and helping you, giving you a path. That's what coaching is. Coaching is not giving you the same manual to every single person. It's a different manual for every single person. That's why I don't do group sessions. It's linear and it's single for each person. Everyone's different.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm a big Tim Grover fan, and he'll always say there's unlimited steps, man. And when I would agree in the same way, when people ask me about working with me, I say, well, every path is going to be different, and it's true. And like what you said, and what I also like what you said there too is as I'm listening to the story, it sounds a lot like your story. And it sounds like you have, and because it's yours, and because you felt the pain, and because you know where he's at, you're able to literally give him a lot of the steps probably that you had to walk through. What did that feel like for you?
It's it puts a smile on your face because I'm helping people in a different way, and it's good to get them back on their feet and take care of their families because now you just took care of a whole family. And as a business owner, when you feed people's families, it's that I wouldn't say it's pressure, but it's the completely opposite for you. It's like I just got a lift off my shoulder saying, "Damn, he's good. His family's good. I helped him get where he needs to get. I'm confident. Like I don't need to blow this guy's phone up and be like, hey, dude, checking in. He's on it. He's got
Yeah.
that mindset. He knows what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And that for me is the most fulfilling part. That someone's mindset change alone, even if they didn't make the money because maybe they just didn't get the chance or whatever, changing somebody's mindset is what's going to make them successful.
Yeah. That's good, dude. What do you see for like your group? I'll throw a couple questions your way here. We'll start to wind down. And those of you
Sure.
listening, if you haven't subscribed yet, I know 30% of you aren't subscribing. Two things you can do to help dads, couple clicks, and it's going to get this into their inbox. And I believe that you're going to help them change their mindset just with a couple clicks. And so, Nafal, we start to wind this rocket ship down, man. What do you see for the work that you're doing with the Filali Group? Like, what's the end goal you're seeing for that?
So it's funny you asked me that because I put a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan and then a 1-year plan. So my 1-year plan was just to get one client. Like I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's see what I can do. I never thought I'd go into coaching, but I wanted people to not feel what I felt, kind of like what you just described. Um, the 5-year plan for me was the Filali Group would become a mediator between law enforcement, first responders, and military guys who didn't get the service that they were supposed to get exiting their career paths
Yeah.
and coming to us and us being the middle ground into coaching and coaching them to where they needed to get it to, getting them job security, getting them whatever they needed to get. And the 7-year plan was partnering with the VA and then having groups and all
Yeah.
the stuff that almost the VA has, but subsidizing it to the Filali Group in locations like Orlando and DC and expanding. So having the coaching, having the job placement, having the VA benefit part of it. So basically just being a subsidiary clinic almost, right? Where
Yeah.
you're getting leadership skills, you're getting, literally life skills and everything you need. And these guys can come Monday through Friday, like workshop style. And then we have a workshop for the VA stuff. So really, that's my 7 to 10 year plan. I really want to start in Orlando because the big footprint's in Orlando. And then DC, just because of the influence that I have up here, I want to do one in Virginia
Yeah.
because the amount of veterans and DC has the most cops per capita, over 35,000 cops here. So the amount of exits you get a year, it'd be the perfect spot to put something like that in.
Yeah. Tell the audience a little bit about, some of the uh in-person things that you've been doing and what that's been like for some of those guys that are coming through there.
Oh yeah, that's thanks for bringing that up. So last year we launched the Impact Summit.
Yeah.
So it's myself being the founder, and the name says it itself is bringing impact to that person's life. The first one was in September of last year, and it was just men. I had about 100 guys, and really, I bring in guest speakers, and each guest speaker kind of has their own spiel, I would say, but really focus on impacting that person's life, either being by I say body, mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
I really talk about mastering your niche and having purpose. That's what I like to talk to guys about because if you're going to go work a job and you're not happy
Yeah.
for the rest of your life, that whatever it is, either being law enforcement or sales or being an HVAC, consult salesperson, whatever it is. If you're not happy, get the fuck out of the job and figure what makes you happy. Like seriously, do it. You only live one life, and for you
Yeah.
to waste your freaking breath doing something for somebody else and getting paid probably shit isn't going to make you satisfied in your life. And honestly, it's probably taking you away from your family if you have one. And it just crumbles from there. And that's where the depression happens. And that's where all the other exogenous stuff happens, like drinking and doing drugs and all the other stuff that just leads to either suicide or just death or a sad life.
Yeah.
Um, that's just the honest truth. So we're revitalizing the Impact Summit. It's 1,000 people, August 15th in St. Pete, Florida. I have myself, one of the speakers from last time. His name is Luke Spinazzola, who's an ex-Marine, talking about his path on that and on really on the mindset. He talks about mindset. I have Max Willett, who is the #1 private sales insurance agent and group in the country. They do over $500 million in sales a year as a group. And then you have Tomo Madranovic. He's the owner of Aspire Rejuvenation Clinic, also my partner at the clinic. He was the founder and owner, ex-cop turned serial entrepreneur, almost like
Wow.
me and him, same. So, and Andy Elliott's coming as a guest speaker. And we may be having Chad D, who's also a billionaire out of Mexico, runs the largest commercial and private timeshare business in Mexico. And he's amazing. So he'll be coming out as a guest speaker as well.
That's huge, dude. All those things are big. I had a question that popped up in my head to ask you because I think this could really help somebody before we close this out. When guys are coming to you, Nawfal, what is the biggest blind spots that you're seeing from them?
Wow, that's a good one. The biggest blind spot I see is knowing their value as a person. Like who are they outside of what they do? Most people will walk into a room and the first thing they ask you, and I hate this question, hey, what do you do? And 70% of the time, that person is judging you, on your job. But how about you just ask the person, what's your name? How old are you? Like just general questions on who you are as a person. And then at the end, asking them, I promise you a lot more people would get along and a lot more business would be done. And a lot of the shit that we have to funnel through in life would go away because most people, and it's like notorious here in DC, hey, who do you work for? What do you do? Like, what's your job? What's your GS level? Like, you want to know how much I make immediately? Like, I don't even know your name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like,
good.
leave me alone. Like, just know who you are when you're coming to talk to me. And I always tell people, if you don't know, take 5 minutes, even if it's just on a weird pause on the phone. And when you're ready, tell me who you are. Write a personal statement out for me. And this is
Yeah.
something that we did at the Impact Summit, and it's actually I have a video of it. Rob Ingay, who's a famous pastor, I'm not sure if you know Rob or not. He preaches for the Elliott Group too, and Steve Weatherford. They
I
talk
know
about
Steve.
do a personal statement. Write down who you are. I'm a believer of God. I'm a fighter. I'm a father. That's who I want to know who you are. Those are the things that matter to me because with those things on who I am, I'm gonna take that and then I'm gonna build your path with that. But not knowing who you are, like I'm a father, I'm a sister, I'm a brother, whatever it is, those are the main core parts of your life. Money is just the way we just use money to do things. They're not the key of our heart and the key of our life. And a lot of people come to me, I need to make a lot of money. I said, no, you don't. You need to manage the amount of money that you have coming in. It's different. You could be rich. You could have a $50,000 a year person be more rich than $100,000 because that person doesn't know how to manage their money.
Yeah,
And
that's
people
good.
forget that. And they get taxed more. So that means you're actually making more money in your pocket at 50 grand than the person who's making 70, 80, 90, 100 grand.
Facts, bro. Let me give you
Yeah.
one last thing here. What's the book you've given away the most? And then what would be another book that you would say, hey, you need to get your hands on this ASAP?
So I'm bringing this up from my Amazon because I just bought it because I'm like, it's crazy. It's a sad story, but it's called If Only I Had Told Her. And this is about a guy who literally goes through life about not telling the person he truly loved and going through a whole life but that he didn't want to really live. And then he wrote a book about, the regret.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting story about living with regret. And I always tell people, if there's someone you love or you want to talk to, or don't be shy, like build that confidence enough and just do it because you never know. You never know how you're going to be. You never know where your life's going to take you. That's a big one. Second one I'm gonna say is Operation Optimal.
Hmm.
Tomo actually wrote that book, and I'm just shouting it out because I actually really enjoyed it, minus him being my friend. But it really talks about catering your health and wellness to
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and how to do it and how to do it. And I think that's so important because everyone's blood type is different. everyone absorbs differently, and everyone's body reacts differently. So it's a really good book, and it talks about the steps to take to become the best version of yourself and optimizing your health and wellness. And really, the last one is one that Andy just gave me. Um, oh yeah, let me get it out for you. I have it on my book right here. Letters to Josephine. So if anyone reads this book from Napoleon, it's like notorious.
Yes.
It's short read, but reading the letters he wrote to Josephine when he was away in all those wars is actually insane.
Wow.
Um, and it's all real. It's all the actual letters that he wrote,
Yeah.
and it just really gives you the mindset of a leader and how crumbled a leader could be when he has everything.
Totally. Totally. Okay. That's good stuff, dude. I want to say thank you. I want to just acknowledge you, dude, for just taking the time to
Thank you.
be here, to share things maybe you haven't shared before to dads that are listening, across America, across the world, and giving them really concrete steps of what to do and how to really get intentional about it. I just want to acknowledge first your journey of what you've had to go through in the service and with your daughter and with what you're going through now and the guys and the people that you're leading. I want to acknowledge you on that, brother. I also want to just acknowledge that the psycho that you say is in you is just a powerful gift, dude. Powerful gift. I get emotional talking about it, but it's a powerful gift because I think so many people they had that for a moment and then life happens or they had some tough years and they forget it. And I know for me, I did as well. Um, but I know the dads that I talk to that step in, man, they hear that and they say, "No, man, I had that killer. I was that. Like life happened or whatever, things, people died or whatever, but it was there." And so you sharing, Nafal, that it's actually a gift, something that you have. I just want to acknowledge you on that and say thank you. So thank you,
Thank you,
man, for
brother.
taking your time today, brother. Sorry I got, kind of into the
No,
moment, but like I'm a feeler, brother. So I just want to say thank you for that. Those of you listening, wherever you're listening at, I'm going to put the Filali Group in the notes for you to check out in the fall, everything that he's got going on. If you're in Florida or you need to get somewhere into a group that is in person, that is going to absolutely elevate your life, I recommend you getting into his event that he has coming up, the Impact Summit, and anything else that, especially you guys that are in the same line. He shared some stuff today. I recommend you listening to this 10 times. I don't think you're going to get it in one shot. And I believe that it takes about 10 times to get it all in you. So check out the notes. There's going to be some questions below. Thank you again, Nafal, for being here with us, man. I love you, dude.
love you too, brother. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
man. I'll see you guys on the next one. God bless you.